In Moses, we said it before, you know. We believe in Solomon and David and all of these great prophets and messengers. And we're people of monotheism, okay? Now, obviously, we don't agree exactly with how you describe God, especially with the resting of the seventh day. And all of these,
generally speaking.
Yeah, some of the attributes we totally disagree with.
I mean, generally speaking, just.
But we both believe in God. No, I mean, I'm an Athari.
Athari?
Yeah, Athari, yeah.
And what do you believe about attributes, the Athari? Because I haven't looked
So,
into them.
the Athari school of thought is basically does ithbat, which means it affirms the attributes of God.
So does it say that they are distinct from gods, or does it say uncreated, or this or that?
Oh, no. Everyone says it's uncreated.
Besides the Mu'tazila.
Everyone says it, well, exactly.
And the Zaydis, and the Ismailis.
Well, look, Mu'tazilis believe it's only with...
and the Ibadis.
Well, it's only the Zaydis. Look, the Zaydis. Sorry, the Mu'tazilis. Oh, it's only with the Kalam of Allah or the Quran, with the Khalq of Quran, the creation of God is a discussion. But let's get back to the point, okay? Because last week we were talking about something very important.
Yes.
And I want to summarize what we spoke about last week, and then you can present what you need to present, and I want to present some new things maybe that to build upon what I was talking about last week.
Yeah.
Well, me and you both looked at some of the criterion in the Old Testament that indicate what is a true prophet, what qualifies us, or what are the criterion for prophethood, okay?
Right.
And we looked at the fact that it has to, basically to summarize the points, one, that it can't be calling to another God, it has to be the God of Moses. And we accepted that what Muhammad was calling to, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was the God of Moses. Right. The second thing you said, which was the point of discussion, which is that you can't be disloyal to God. And in that, I think probably the biggest point of contention, where you were saying actually, the problem is that you have certain laws which have been abrogated in the Islamic Sharia, which Jews don't believe in, believe that still exists. That was the biggest point of tension. And the third thing which we looked at in Deuteronomy 18:21 was the fact that this prophet can't speak, or when he speaks of something in the future, that this thing has to be true. So that wasn't really a point of contention because I gave you examples of where that is the case, right? So I showed you some prophecies of the Prophet Muhammad, the Quran and the Hadith, which indicates that the Romans and the Romans would beat the Persians after 3 to 9 years. We talked about where Islam will spread. We even spoke about the fact that the barefooted Arabs will yatatawaluna fil bunyan, that will try and outstrip one another for the highest buildings and so on. And you acknowledge that these were actual prophecies. And so that's, in that sense, this third criterion you think has been met. So we've only got one criterion which I think is where the point of contention, the bone of contention really lies, which is the point of, can God really, if the question is to be asked, can God abrogate his law? And what you're saying is that you can't see that as being loyal to God, that God can abrogate his law. And I'm saying that even on your paradigm, we believe that God has abrogated his law. And the example I gave, when I said I'll give you more examples, but the example that I initially gave you was the example of Abraham. And Abraham commanding him to slaughter his son, and then changing that command, changing the command to sacrificing the ram instead. And I gave that as an example of biblical abrogation, or and so on. So that's where we are so far. You said no, that wasn't really a change of command. So would you like to pick up where we left off?
Yeah. So with regards to, first of all, I think instead of saying can he abrogate, I think the real question to ask is, does he abrogate?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Because can and can't is always
I accept the amendment. I accept the amendment.
Territory. And with regards to Abraham in Genesis chapter 22, so what I was saying is as follows: God gave a very interesting command, which was offer him up as an elevation offering, right? He did not say and slaughter him, right? He said offer him up as an olah, an elevation offering. Abraham, right, is then saying, okay, I need to offer him up as an elevation offering. What exactly does that mean, Abraham says? Does that mean, right, to simply put him on the altar as an elevation offering, or do I need to complete it as well?
Well, can we do something? Can we read the verses? I've got the verses for you, so can I read them?
Sure.
All right, let me read them for you, because I think you're wrong about this, basically, and with respect, like, you know, and I'm not saying this out of malice, or I will give you the Agadic authority of what I'm saying.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that this is from me, Muhammad Hijab. I'm saying I'm going to give you Agadic authority. Yes, do you understand what that?
Yeah, I know what Agada is.
Yeah, so the Agada, for those who don't know, is the tafsir of the Jews. Okay. All right, so let's read.
Not exactly the same as tafsir.
I understand, but it is quite close.
Because tafsir.
It's exegesis, right?
So it's not exegesis.
Okay, well.
Agada's not exegesis. It's eisegesis.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong.
No.
It's not.
We have.
That's wrong.
Before you do this, just let me explain something.
Yeah.
Because this is quite misunderstood.
You know what eisegesis means?
Eisegesis is not literal. It's not simple.
No, that's not what eisegesis means. Eisegesis means you putting your own ideas onto the text. That would mean that if you concede to eisegesis, you're saying that the biblical commentators are changing the words according to their own perceived notions.
No,
it's a superimposition. Yeah, exegesis. Yeah, it's the wrong word. So exegesis is simply commentary on the Bible.
Right.
Agada would be closest to exegesis.
Right.
It would be closest to tafsir.
Right.
It would be closest to that.
So.
And just to add to this, sorry, it should be noted that just for historical purposes, Agada came about 300 years after Jesus' disappearance. So we're talking about the same sort of time.
Agada had already started.
No, I know, but the codification had been codified according to Nusna, Jacob Nusna, who's one of the most prolific.
I looked into it.
Yeah, you know him now, yeah. Yeah. So according to Nusna, it was about 300 to 400 years, which is around the same time, to give you a timeline, that Augustine was writing. So we're talking about 300-400 years after Christ, not after Moses. This is when their tafsir was written,
So
basically.
let me just respond to that.
Yeah.
The Agada is not a compiled text. There are many compilations of Agadas, also known as Midrashim, right, that exist, and some of them predate Jesus, and some of them are post-Jesus in terms of when they were written down.
No.
Right?
Okay, give me an example of. Sorry, sir.
I'll give an example.
Give me an example of something which is. No. You talk about codification.
As in one of the Midrashic works, one of the Agadic works that was already compiled prior to Jesus.
Give me one example of that, please.
Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer.
Okay, no, I think you're confusing this, because from what I've seen once again, and you can, this is secondary source material, right? And I've already told you, Newson is one example of that. Yeah, he had a whole book on it. But from what I've seen, nobody has said what you're saying right now. Nobody has said what you're saying. In terms of codification, the Agada was written. If you want to be conservative about it, or liberal in your case, we can say 100 years after Jesus. But the case of before Jesus is a very difficult one. We're not talking about the Talmud here.
I'm not talking about the Talmud.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not talking about the Talmud.
I'm talking about the Agada. Yeah.
Okay, whereas the Talmud is compiled in two texts, the Jerusalem Talmud
And Babylonian, yeah.
Right? Agada and Medrash is written in a huge number of different compilations.
Yeah.
There's the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, there's the Midrash Rabbah, there's the Halachic Midrash of Shimon, there's the Halachic Midrash of Yishmael, there's the Yalkut.
Yeah. And when was that codified?
A whole bunch. And they were codified in different times. So most of them were compiled after Jesus.
Yeah, but hundreds of years after Jesus. Yeah.
But the Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer was compiled before.
Okay, well, I'll look into it. But so long as we both agree that they were compiled for the most part well after Jesus, yeah?
Yes.
All right, and so I'm not wrong in saying that the Agada, or the Midrashim, if you like, the Midrashim was written about 300 years for the most part after Jesus' disappearance. We're talking about the same sort of time that Augustine was writing, maybe a bit before that. Now, I want to read something out now, having said this, yeah?
Okay, and there was one other thing I wanted to say, which was about the 4 levels of interpretation within Judaism, which is known as Paradis.
Yes.
That Paradis is an acronym that stands for Pshat, Remez, Drush, Sod. Pshat means the simple meaning of the text. That's the first layer of meaning, and that's not going to be what you find in any Agada. Agada does not tell you simple meaning. It does not tell you.
I don't think that's correct. I think you're wrong about that.
No, this is.
You're saying the simple meaning of the text is not in the Midrashim.
The simple meaning of the text is definitely not in Midrash.
Why not? What do you mean by simple meaning of the text?
So simple meaning is contextual meaning, right? And and literal meaning. Now, next you have
that's completely wrong.
This is not wrong.
So Ben Ezra and those guys.
Ibn Ezra.
Yeah, anybody, whoever is speaking in the Midrashim, okay?
Ibn Ezra does not speak in the Midrash.
I'll give you some names of people that speak in the Midrash. Isaiah, sorry. His name is R. Isaiah or something like that. Yeah. He keeps coming up in the Midrashim. Yeah. These kinds of people that keep coming up in the Midrashim. Yeah. When they, for example, you open up Genesis, the first chapter of the Bible. When they're talking about the days in chronology. What are they speaking about? They're speaking about in allegory, or they're speaking about in literal text?
They are talking about what we can learn homiletically from the text. They're not saying what does the text say literally. There's a difference.
No. Hold on. You know what homily is?
Tell me, what's a homily?
No, what is homily? Because you're using a word, you don't know what it is.
A homily, as far as I know, is where you're taking things from the text, you're learning things out from the text.
Wrong. See, this is the second word you've got wrong. This is your problem, okay? The word eisegesis you got wrong. The word homily is basically it is a commentary of the Bible for lay people. So when we're talking about homiletic texts, we're talking about people that speak about the Bible or any text for lay people, for the audience's lay audience. Do you understand?
Right.
Okay. Anyway, put that away. So I think you need to get this right. To say that the Midrashim doesn't deal with the plain reading, I think is simply unfounded. But let's just get to the crux of the matter. All right. Let's get the verse out. Then God said, "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Okay, sacrifice him there as burnt offering on a mountain. I will show you." Genesis 22:2, right?
Say burnt offering, by the way. It says elevation offering.
Okay, no problem. That's irrelevant to what we're trying to prove. Yeah.
Just to let you know.
It's a translation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just let you know.
As soon as Abraham has set up the altar and is about to proceed with the sacrifice, God changes his original command. So what does he say? He says, "Do not lay a hand on the boy." This is Genesis 22:12-13. Okay. He said, "Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld me from your son, your only son." Okay. Abraham looked up there and there in a thicket, and he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. Now, Ibn Ezra,
yes.
okay, you said he doesn't do.
Ibn Ezra is not in the Agada.
Okay, no problem. Ibn Ezra, who commentates on this, I told you before. You said no, he didn't. He doesn't have a commentary. He does.
He has a commentary. He's not in the Agada.
Okay, right, no problem. Ibn Ezra says this. He says that the idea. Hold on. That God did not change his command, which is your position.
Yes.
He goes against what you say.
What does he say?
This is what he says. Ibn Ezra says the following. He says that the translators point out the word, these scholars translate the word bring also means offer as a sacrifice, yeah? And this is the plain meaning of the text, okay? He feels that those who insist that God told Abraham to bring his sons but not to sacrifice him are not bothered about God seeming to change his mind. They believe that God, who knows it all, does not change his mind. Ibn Ezra replies that this is not true.
So let's see his word,
Okay, yeah. He says, numerous examples in the Bible portray God changing his mind. Yes. For example, God first chooses his firstborn sons to serve as priests in the sanctuary, and then he changes his mind and assigns the duty to the Levites. This is what Ben Ezra is saying.
Right. So can I see the Hebrew?
No, it's not. I don't have the Hebrew, bro. Okay, I can get you the.
You can get it up.
I'll get it for you. I'll send it to you. I mean, I'm not going to give you bibliography now and everything.
No.
But Ben Ezra is saying this, okay? Now, so already we have an authority that goes against what you're saying. But I want to say one more thing.
Because if you go on the.
No, hold on. Let me just make the full argument, and then you can say what you want. Yeah. But there are many discrepancies like this in the Old Testament. This is just one example. There's many like this. For example, in the book of Numbers and the book of Ezekiel, when it comes to offerings, the book of Numbers states the following with regards to holiday sacrifices, yeah?
Yeah.
On the first day of every month,
Yeah.
present to the Lord a burnt offering of 2 young bulls, 1 ram, 7 male lambs, a year old, all without defect.
Yeah.
Numbers 28:11, yeah? But Ezekiel states the following. On the day of the new moon, he is to offer a young bull, 6 lambs, and the ram without defect. That's different, okay? Here, an example of Numbers, following regards to the sacrifice of Sabbath. It says this, on the Sabbath day, make an offering of 2 lambs, a year old without defect, together with its drink, offering and a grain offering of 2/10 of an ephah, yeah? 28:9. This is Numbers. Ezekiel says something different. The burnt offering, the prince brings to the Lord on the Sabbath day is to be 6 male lambs and a ram, all without defect. Once again, it's different. They're so significant that the Talmudic sages discussed it.
Yes, they did.
So what did they say? Rabbi Judah says the following. In the name of Rav, he says, remember a certain man for good, Hananiah son of Hezekiah, in his name, for were it not for him, the book of Ezekiel would have been withdrawn, since its words contradict the words of the Torah. He says, what did he do? He took 300 barrels of oil and stayed in the upper chamber and expounded it.
He resolved all the contradictions.
Now the point is this, you've got these contradictions, you've just used the word yourself.
Yeah.
Now,
He resolved all of them. He stayed
no,
there until all the oil was finished. He resolved all
No,
of the
but here's the issue.
That's what they're saying.
No.
Yes, that is what they're saying.
I understand what you're saying.
Good.
Look, hold on. You have contradictions. An easy way of understanding these discrepancies is abrogation. But once again, you don't want to acknowledge that such abrogation can happen. So here we are stuck between a rock and a hard stone with you. We show you that the rulings have changed in the Old Testament. We show you that even your scholars agree that there are discrepancies. We show you that even the high authorities like Ibn Ezra realizes that God changes his mind. And what you're going to do is either reject this as a reality or accept it, and we can move on and explain why now the Prophet had the authority from God to have a new to have a new Torah. Because I'll say one more thing, final thing, before you start talking. In the book of Isaiah, when in Isaiah 42, when obviously we know that it's talking about the people of Kedar, and we know the people of Kedar are the Arabs, yeah? There's no doubt about it, the people of Ishmael, that we know that the prophet that's going to come at the end of times is going to come to the Arabs, the people of Kedar, yeah? Kedar. And so the people of Kedar, they're going to be sent and all that kind of. Now, it says, let them sing a new song. Now, this let them sing a new song in Isaiah 42 would indicate that there is a new law. You see? So, part of the argument. Part 1, let me just summarize my argument. We have shown conclusively that the Old Testament has discrepancies, the extent to which it brought the Talmudic commentators into shock and rattled them to the core, and they were thinking of chucking out parts of the Bible as a result. And we have seen also that the example of Abraham sacrificing, being commanded to sacrifice his son, and then changing that into a ram, according to Ibn Ezra, was in fact a change of commandment. Therefore, we have seen that abrogation is possible in the Old Testament. Therefore, and we've also seen in the book of Isaiah that when this new prophet is going to come to the Arabs, as we both know it's the Arabs, because Kedar in the book of Genesis is the Arabs, the sons of Ishmael. When these new people are going to come to the Arabs, that he's going to sing a new song. So once again, there's going to be a change of what? There's going to be a change of laws and so on. My question therefore to you is, since you've already acknowledged that the Prophet Muhammad, he has made prophecies that have come true, which in Deuteronomy 18:21 is the requisite, that this will be a criterion for true prophethood, and also that he calls to the God of Moses. My honest question to you is, why now reject this point, and why not accept the Prophet Muhammad, and why not accept the Quran and the Sunnah as the final revelation, which has come after your books, which we've already spoken about some of the changes in them? Why not accept this?
Okay, so before I answer your question, I'm going to have to respond to a lot of points that you made.
Okay, but
Okay.
you're gonna have one go, and then I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna come back. Okay, is that okay?
Yeah, sure. What's the time?
It's you need to pray as well, don't you? It's 4:35.
4:35. So I've got
Yeah,
quite a while.
5 minutes, yeah?
I've got quite a while.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right. So I don't need to be leaving till 6. So
Okay,
I've
no
got
problem.
ages.
No problem.
So, okay, let's start where you were. Okay, so you said Abraham. Okay, we'll start with the Akedah, right? With the binding, Genesis chapter 22. We call it the Akedah. Okay, so you quoted the Ibn Ezra. I, for one, would like to see the Ibn Ezra inside with the Hebrew, because then I'll be able to learn it the way it should be learned and see exactly what exactly it is that he's saying and the wording that he says it. Until I see that, I'm not going to be able to argue with you about the Ibn Ezra.
All
I
right.
can't.
That's very
Right.
authentic of you. Yeah.
Now, as for the Talmud is showing you a very important thing here, the Talmud that you quoted yourself, that they were doubtful, should we accept Ezekiel as a prophet at all? Because we see contradictions, right? And if Ezekiel is contradicting the Torah, if he is urging disloyalty, then maybe he's a false prophet, right? And therefore we'd have to chuck away the book. Then he said, thank God for Rabbi Ananias ben Shai, I think he said, right, that he is Ananias ben Chizkiah or something, who said, who actually managed to resolve all of these contradictions and expounded all of them at exactly what points Ezekiel is trying to